Have you ever felt 10,000 volts of electricity coursing through your body? I hope not, because it's a taste you never forget. But my HOA president, Linda, recently found out exactly what a high-voltage shock tastes like. She thought she was the queen of the neighborhood and could break into my property whenever she wanted. But last night, she didn't get a warning. She got the biggest shock of her life. This is the story of how I turned my home into a legal fortress and taught Linda a lesson she will never forget. It all started when I moved into my dream home. I wanted peace, but I found a nightmare living next door. Linda is the HOA president, and she has a pathological need to control everyone. Every single morning at 6 a.m., she would be outside in a bright pink bathrobe, searching through my trash cans to see what I was eating. Then came the fines. She ticketed me because my grass was half an inch too long. She even stood on the sidewalk with other board members, pointing at my house and treating me like a criminal. Linda's signature look was always pink. Whether she was wearing a pink business suit or a pink tracksuit, she wanted everyone to notice her. One afternoon, I was drinking coffee when I saw movement in my backyard. I ran outside and found Linda standing in my private garden with a tape measure, wearing a pink floral dress. She said she was checking for illegal plants. I told her to get out, but she just laughed and said, "I'm the president. I don't need permission to inspect." Linda started climbing over my back wall whenever I was at work. I had security footage, but the police told me it was a civil matter. My blood was boiling. She was destroying my property and kicking my dog's toys. I put up no trespassing signs, but the next morning, I found them ripped down and thrown in the mud. That was a declaration of war. I spent hours researching state property laws. I knew I couldn't set a booby trap, or I'd get sued. But then, I found a beautiful, legal loophole. The law stated that if you have pets or security concerns, you are legally allowed to install an electric livestock fence on your private land as long as you post warning signs. To make my case bulletproof, I went to the market and bought a pet chicken. I named him Colonel. Now, I could legally prove in court that I had livestock to protect. A wicked smile crossed my face. I went to the hardware store and bought the most powerful fence energizer they had. This machine pulses 10,000 volts. It's not lethal, but it hits hard enough to make a grown man cry. I spent the whole afternoon setting it up. I ran the electrified wires right along the top of my old fence. I was careful to hide the wires behind tall grass and bushes so they were invisible in the dark. But I followed the law perfectly. I hung bright yellow danger, high voltage signs every 5 feet. When I flipped the switch, the box gave a low, menacing hum. My tester confirmed it. 10,000 volts were ready and waiting. I left my garage door open on purpose as bait, turned off the lights, and sat in the dark watching my security monitors. I knew Linda's curiosity would get the better of her. Sure enough, at 11 p.m., a shadow appeared. It was Linda. She was creeping toward my wall like a cat burglar, wearing a bright pink hoodie and pink leggings. She shined her flashlight directly on the high-voltage sign, read it, scoffed, and completely ignored it. That was the biggest mistake of her life. Linda put a flashlight in a pocket and reached up with both hands to pull herself over the wall. The moment her hands touched the hidden wires, a bright blue spark lit up the night. Crack! It was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. Linda let out a scream that probably woke up the entire city. The shock was so powerful, it literally launched her backward. Her muscles seized, and she did a strange, twitchy dance in midair before hitting the wet grass. Her notepad and pen went flying into the darkness. The air filled with the smell of ozone and burnt hair. It was the signature scent of high voltage. Linda landed flat on her back, her body still twitching from the aftershock. Her hair, which was usually perfectly styled, was now standing straight up like a mad scientist. She was lying there, blowing on her burnt fingers and crying hysterically in her pink hoodie. I was inside, laughing so hard I almost spilled my coffee. Linda pulled out her phone and screamed at 911 that I had tried to assassinate her. Within minutes, the street was full of red and blue flashing lights. I walked out my front door, calm and cool, holding my mug. The police officer was standing over Linda, who was putting on a massive performance. "Arrest him!" she screamed. He electrified the wall. "He's a maniac!" The neighbors were all outside now, filming the whole thing on their phones. Linda even threatened the officer, screaming, "Do you know who I am? I'll have your badge." The officer looked at me, his hand near his holster. I simply smiled and said, "Officer, It's just a livestock fence for my chicken. The officer walked to the wall, shined his light, and saw the massive reflective yellow signs. Danger! High voltage! He turned back to Linda and asked, "Ma'am, did you not see the sign?" She stuttered and said it was too dark. The officer cut her off, saying the signs were reflective and perfectly visible. Then came the best part. "Ma'am," the officer said, "you are trespassing on private property. This man has every right to secure his perimeter." Linda's face went pale. Instead of arresting me, the officer wrote her a massive ticket for trespassing and warned her that next time, she was going to jail. Linda limped back to her house in total shame, her pink outfit covered in mud. The video of her electric dance went viral on social media, and everyone in town saw the HOA president getting zapped. The neighborhood has been very quiet ever since. That 10,000-volt shock fixed her attitude permanently. She doesn't look into my trash, she doesn't measure my grass, and she definitely doesn't touch my fence. Sometimes, science and a little bit of law make the perfect revenge. If you enjoyed seeing Linda get a shocking reality check, make sure to smash that LIKE button. Drop a comment below if you have an HOA story that makes your blood boil. And do forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story of justice. See you in the next one.